What is going on, everyone? Golly, can y'all believe it's June already? And we are back with another Hot Takes episode. And y'all, I got another. Yeah, if anybody knows anything about me, John Maxwell, that's my guy. But I got another John Maxwell team member, but another amazing leader, another amazing coach, despite what's on his wall in the back. It's all good. But what's going on, Coach David?
Hey, Lawrence, great. It's great to be here, man. I'm so excited. Been looking forward to this for a long time, and really excited to be here today.
All right. Well, before we get rolling with your topic of talking about intentional growth today, can you tell people a little bit about yourself, where you are in the world, and then we'll get rolling?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in the Pittsburgh region, and I was not born and raised here. I actually was born and raised in Indiana, hence the sign. Yes, I am a huge Notre Dame fan. Love the Notre Dame football tradition, so my journey is really an intentional growth journey. And so I'm excited to talk a little bit about it today.
So it's amazing over the past year and some change. And I don't know, Coach Dave, but I've come in contact with a lot of people who have been experiencing this season of life and this long season of life like never before. And when you talk about, because we hear intentional growth, right? We hear purpose-driven life. We hear all these other cliche things, but why is this your work to help folks understand what it means to be intentional about growth?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a great question. I think the biggest reason is because probably for a while I was unintentional with my growth, and I just kind of let it happen. And I really began to, I think it really started when I went through a season of my life where I started to see that unintentionality take me into the drift, as Michael Hyatt would say, that drifting zone. And I really wasn't leading myself forward. And I really saw that, and quite frankly, I made a major milestone in my birthdays. I mean, I hit 50, and I read a book called Halftime by Bob Buford, and it really got me thinking about that second half of my life and that second half of even my career, and what did I want it to look like, and that I could actually shape it. And so I think that was the corner that really got me turned to looking at intentionality and really being a lot more specific about how I wanted my life to look. Now, obviously, there are things that in our life that come along the way that we just have to adapt and change, and we don't things that we can't expect or we can't plan for. But I do believe that having some intentionality, having some vision of what we want our life to look like, and the things that we can do to make that happen is so important. So I think it was really that moment in my life that I figured out that I can't just drift through life. I need to be more intentional. I need to be more purposeful, and really look at how do I want the last part of my life to play out. And so that's really what took it for me into the work that I'm doing right now. And frankly, I spent the first part of my career in the insurance industry, and that transitioned then to what I'm doing today, working with organizations and emerging leaders all over the world.
Yeah, and I love that you teed up that, particularly the term emerging leader, because when I've encountered people, in this season of life, people are like, oh, who's next in the organization? Who's next? And everybody, because we're so comfortable with labels, we believe that's a pocket of the population instead of the potential within all of us, regardless of what stage in life. And I love the reference to halftime. Because again, an old school mentality was, hey, when you hit 50, you're on the backside of this thing, and almost like you're capped, right? Yeah. Which couldn't be further from the truth. Because if you're doing what you believe you're supposed to be doing, there comes an energy, there comes a drive, there comes all of this stuff. So when you think about helping companies, cultures, and companies' growth, what does emerging leader really mean to help that process?
Yeah, I think that, and it's interesting because some people may have in their mind, when I say emerging leader, they may think youth or young. And frankly, that's not true in my world. I see an emerging leader as someone who maybe they are 50, maybe they're 60, and for the first time in their life, there's this awakening within them that they realize that there's more to them and there's more potential within them. And so they're beginning to go through that transformation process, and they're really emerging as a leader. Maybe for the first time, they become a people leader. In other words, they have some people that are reporting to them. So I see a wide spectrum of what I would term as an emerging leader. It's really all about that awakening that comes within someone that recognizes that, hey, there's more to me, or there's more in my career. There's maybe more under the surface that really meets the eye right now. And it's really all about an awakening. And I think it's also about an awakening of the leadership team within an organization to find those people and really pour into them and really be able to give them an opportunity to allow that leadership to emerge and really even give them a safe space for them to emerge that leadership.
Man, you just I love the word awakening. And again, like that hit me because early on when I first transitioned out of the military, I could really recall feeling like some things were dying on the inside of me.
Yeah.
And it was just really a lack of understanding. It was really a lack of direction. And once I got my first mentor that was a catalyst to opening up connection to so many different people, it just literally just awakened purpose and drive in life in me to where now I'm like, once I feel it, I don't ever want to not feel it again. So when you meet that leadership group, because let's be honest, let's be honest, Coach, there are a lot of organizations out there that they still made some money, they still maintain a level of comfort in this season of life for everyone. What do you say to them to see awakening the employee population as an opportunity versus that's just a whole lot of effort I don't really want to sign up for?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to my mind as you're asking that question is really a quote by Jim Collins, and that is that good is the enemy of great. You can be good. You can be right in your comfort zone and stay right there. Cool. That's all good. And I've seen it time and time again. I've seen leaders and I've seen organizations stay right and stay good. And that's cool if that's what you want to be. But the people that want to work with me and with you, they are the leaders, they're the organizations that they want to be great. They want to be world class. They want to be intentional with their culture, with their leadership development, with everything that they're doing, because they recognize that is going to attract to them great people and also great customers. And it's going to help them to stand out in a crowd of a commoditized world.
Man, you dropping bombs. You dropping bombs early, man. Well, and again, I think it really comes down to the fact that good is the enemy of great, because for so long, and I heard it like this. Only you told me one time, it was like, unfortunately, the organization and leaders at certain levels won't desire to grow because they're continuing to make money in spite of.
Yeah.
Man, right. And I'm like,
right.
And to me, that's like mediocre is the enemy of good.
Right. Exactly.
Still making money. And so when you think about just how do you get someone to say yes to doing this work? Because again, if you got mediocre, I'm still making money. If you got good, I'm still making money. Mm-hmm. How do you get a company to say, you know what? We see what we have, but we want to build differently. Like, how do you shake somebody loose?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. And I think it's really a mentality or a mindset. And it's really taking a look at where the leadership of the organization's at right now, and challenging them to take it to, and this is a cliche, but take it to the next level, but take it beyond where they are right now so that they can, be the Ritz-Carlton of their industry, so that yeah, you're making money. That's great. But what about the attraction of talent? What's your turnover like? Are you really, keeping and attracting great talent? Making money is one thing, but you need to be able to attract great talent, and you want to be able to ensure the legacy of the organization. Lawrence, one of the things that I see a lot of right now, especially in the environment that we're in, is that there are a lot of senior leaders who maybe they started the organization, they put their blood, sweat, and tears into an organization, and they're maybe starting to ride off into the sunset, or they want to be able to slow down a little bit and pass off the organization to the next generation of leaders. Well, how do you do that if you haven't been intentional? Making money is one thing, but getting them to think about legacy and what I'll say is future-proofing the organization to really make sure that they have a foundation of leaders and a foundation of growth, a foundation of intentionality within their organization. I think that's the key, is really asking them great questions like, what do you want this organization to look like 25 years from now? Will it be around? And if not, then what do you need to do in order to make that happen? And so I think that's where I would go with that.
Yeah. And it's almost, as you were saying that, what was coming up is it's almost you having a conversation, because again, I have this love-hate relationship with talking about pain points, with leaders. But I think what you called on again, it's calling forth purpose. It's representing the why it started in the first place. Right. Because if you think about most of these organizations, most of the big, the Fortune 5s, Fortune 100s, they got some age on them, which would insinuate the leadership has some age on it. And so if we're it's not lost on us that they would be removed from the original why because of all the minutia of P&Ls and all the rest of these things that get leaders all round up, right? Yeah. But when you think about just the representing of that why that's a powerful tool to reinvigorate, to awaken in why you started in the first place, right? And when you think about that as a gift, giving that back to a company as a gift, like what have you observed when doing that with a company?
Yeah, great question. What's interesting is that I see a company that is maybe in that later stages of its business life actually be re-energized, and actually one of my clients has really re-energized the whole division because they've exploded in terms of their own KPIs, their own EBITDA numbers, and their own sales growth, and it's really a re-energizing of the organization. So I think that would be the first thing that I have seen firsthand, is when an organization invests in their people and actually switches their mindset to, in Simon Sinek's phrase, play the infinite game, to be able to really know that, hey, I am going to be around for a long time, and our organization is going to be around for a long time. And so what do we need to do to be able to do that and build that? And so that's the upside. It's re-energizing an organization, and maybe even just taking it to a place where they never even thought was possible for them. I see that a lot with small organizations too. Small organizations may not necessarily always see a bigger picture or a bigger role for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what you start digging in there, because what I hear there is again, you've been practicing one way, but there's some updated behaviors and rituals that an organization needs to begin exercising. Can you dig in a little bit on that?
Yeah. So often when I'm working with organizations, especially around culture, I dive into defining a culture by the behaviors of an organization. And so there's a big distinction, or at least I make a big distinction between values and behaviors. Values are things that I consider them like nouns. They're respect, integrity. I mean, things that are fairly nebulous. And then there are behaviors like practicing blameless problem solving, listening generously, speaking straight. Those two things are uniquely different, but the behaviors inform the values or show an organization how to live out the values. And I think the behaviors, when they're articulated and specifically defined, it helps the organization be able to know, what do they need to practice? What do we need to do? Because really culture is all about how we do things around here. And so defining our behaviors that are going to lead to our success and lead to us succeeding and fulfilling our mission is the first step. And then beyond that, though, we can't just define behaviors. It's kind of like creating our vision, mission, and values and putting it on the wall and leaving it there. It's like this sign here. If I just put a sign up here and say, play like a champion today, well, what does that mean? I have to put it into practice. And so there's some rituals that we need to do to be able to create some cadence to be able to talk about the behavior of practicing blameless problem solving. When I'm in a startup meeting, I need to start that meeting with the conversation of, hey, what's going to get in our way of practicing blameless problem solving today, guys, or this week, and have a weekly ritual and a daily ritual to be able to practice those behaviors.
You all in my sandbox, Coach. I always talk about, you got to define things, and again, putting the posters into practice. That's what it's all about, because the behavior part of it, right? You don't know what to correct, or you don't know what to reinforce or tell somebody to stop doing if it's not been defined for people. And so many times you go into organizations and literally they wrote these nice pontificating documents and they're really, really cute. They're really, really jazzy. But you ask them, what do you do with it?
Right.
It's like Bueller.
Right.
Right. So when you think about, how do you build up the do in cultures and emerging leaders so that they take ownership of walking this out?
Yeah. I mean, it really is. It's a leadership function. And I think that everything about culture is a leadership function. And so we have to define it first. We have to then practice it. We have to create ways that we put it into our daily practice, whether that's part of the startup meeting. I mean, one of my clients, actually many of my clients, will often put it at the beginning of every meeting. So if, let's say, for example, listening generously is our fundamental or our behavior of the week, then every meeting this week is going to start with listening generously. We're going to talk about it. We're going to ask questions about it. We're going to grapple with it. How are we using it? How are we seeing it? How will this impact our clients? How will this impact our employees? What's getting in the way of that? And when we do that on a regular basis, then it gets ingrained in the DNA of the organization. But it first has to be a part of the leadership's mentality. It can't be the flavor of the month. I mean, let's face it, those happen all the time. We go to a seminar, we see one thing and we go, oh, that's cool. And then we try something, but we don't commit to it. So it takes commitment, and it takes a long-term vantage point or a long-term perspective to be able to practice the behaviors that will really bridge that gap from good to great.
I'm all about bridging gaps. And you got the coaches out there going crazy.
Yeah.
Everything about culture is a leadership function. I mean, again, you got people, and let's be honest, right? we do this for a living. We dig into this stuff for a living. But if you're in a position that you're being asked to care for others, right? Again, if you have people underneath you, guess what? You're a positional leader, but guess what? You now have the mantle to take on everything that goes with it. So why not be excellent, right? Regardless of why you were chosen, why not be excellent there? And again, Coach Dave, I want people to have the ability to build themselves, but build their organizations. And there's something I want you to dig in a little bit on, because this is something I'm doing my PhD work on. The part about retaining people.
Yeah.
We go after great talent. We tell people this is a great place to be, but when we get them, we don't grow them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, that I think, and I come back to my belief, and I know it's yours as well, is that if the people within an organization are growing, if they're challenged, if they're going outside of their comfort zone, then the organization as a whole is going to grow, because the organization is going to get outside of its comfort zone. And oftentimes that means, quote unquote, failing. It means trying something or doing something and it not working out the way we think it should. But there's all kinds of learning from that. And so I really believe that an organization, if they want to retain talent and not just attract it, but keep it there, we have to develop our leaders, and we have to grow our leaders and help them to be able to pour into their teammates and challenge each other and really make it a cohesive team. So, one of the things that I see high-performing teams, high-performing companies do is create safe spaces. Like, for example, I have a group called the Emerging Leader Inner Circles. And it's a group of leaders quite literally from all over the world. We have leaders from Germany and the EU and here in the United States. And we meet virtually twice a month to be able to practice some of those leadership tactics and those skills that we need, like speaking, like, overcoming the imposter syndrome, being able to grow in our confidence. And that can only be done in a really safe space. And so those organizations that want to retain their talent, they need to be able to provide things like that and provide opportunities for their leaders to grow.
Yeah, it's all about, to me, it's the opportunity and the access is really what I really believe people feel connected to. And again, that's how we build community, right?
Yeah,
that's how we build relationship is again, I inside of an organization, imagine the mentality that you're not my coworker or a team member, but your competition. Like imagine though, we've worked in those spaces. And they're just so draining. And so what you described, I believe, is the way of the future, is the way of the workplace, of people feeling cared for, people feeling like there's spaces to grow here. But that insinuates the leaders dig in on what they believe they're supposed to be responsible for, and also take ownership of it. And again, it's not just laying at their feet, but everybody comes to work with that mentality. So I don't want to hoard you. I don't want to hoard you, Coach David. I want people. I want. What events do you have coming up? What seminars do you have coming up? How can they find that community if you're open to new members? Just lay it all out there. How can people connect with you?
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. So right now, what I am concentrating on is growing that Emerging Leader Inner Circles environment, because what I've seen, and I've really, matter of fact, my own mentor, I was just with him on Friday, and I was talking about how I'm doubling down on emerging leaders or rising leaders, because I really feel like that is going to have the biggest impact. And my current group is full, but I'm opening it up. And so if you're watching and you're listening and you think, hey, this is a great environment, maybe you're what I would call an unseen people leader. You're that person who is in a growing business, a growing company, but you don't have time to really build into your emerging leaders. reach out to me, because it very well could be that you guys could be the next emerging leader inner circle members. And so we're forming those other circles right now. So between now and the end of July, we are forming 2 new circles. And then at the end of the year, we're also planning our annual summit. And in recent years, well, last year it was virtual, but the inaugural year, we actually came together in person here in Pittsburgh and really enjoyed a day together to mastermind and hear from some really top speakers. So if that's you, if you really want an environment like this for your team, reach out to me. Love to help you in any way that I possibly can.
I don't know. I feel like an invite's coming. Coach Dave, like I need to get to Pittsburgh. It's been a minute since I've been up there, and a couple of the coaches that are in here live right now. There's a community of coaches up in that area
Awesome.
that are doing some amazing things. So awesome. I just want to say thank you again for just this little tip of the iceberg conversation to all that is Coach David. And again, anytime you want to jump back on live and drop some audio gold, video gold, just let me know. And I'll definitely continue to make space for you, your mission, because again, I am huge on this emerging leader generation as well, because again, it takes us all to lean into it for us to get better. So, hey, thank y'all who out there for showing up live. If you're a speaker, if you're a coach, if you're a trainer, and you think you have a message to share, hit me up, direct message me. I would love to have you on for us to have a humble, open, and transparent conversation. So until next time, folks, continue to be well, continue to be safe, and make sure you connect with Coach David, because he's going to make you better. He's going to make you better. Until next time, folks, see you soon.